Can you say that one gelato changed your life? For our next guest, being served an ice cream cone introduced her to the world of hospitality, and she never looked back. From the age of 12, Mariantonietta Varamo has been on a fast track to making her dreams come true. Thank goodness for us, she chose to be behind the bar. I'm Susan Schwartz, your drinking companion, and this is Lush Life Podcast. Every week, we are inspired to live life one cocktail at a time by the best in the industry. Little did Mariantonietta know when she left Italy for London that she would be the one to shake things up at Duke's Bar. As the first female bartender at that bastion of martinis and boulevardiers, she would be put to the test. She passed with flying colors, and now she is managing GBR, Duke's Hotel's other bar and restaurant. With this track record, who knows what she has planned next?
Well, I grew up on the hillside of Tuscany, so I actually been born in the south of Italy, in Calabria, and then when I was 5 years old, we moved with my family in Tuscany. My father just changed job, and we moved from a very hot country to let's say a more temperate kind of climate.
So, but your family, your father and mother, they were originally Calabrese, right?
Exactly, yes.
So you have that hot blood.
Hot blood, yes. Yes, it's pretty much coming up in my personality very often, yeah. And yes.
So you were in Tuscany. So you grew up there, pretty much.
I grew up there, and it was a beautiful place to grow up, especially for the work that I do, because it's one of the it's basically one of the leading region of Italy for cocktail and hospitality as well. So pretty much my passion about this work grew up within the culture of the place where I grew up.
Now, was your family involved with hospitality as well, or food?
Not at all, not at all. My mother was a mother of 4 kids, and I'm the last of 4 kids. And my father is like a builder, so totally not at all involved in any kind of hospitality. And actually, I have to fight my way to go to hospitality school, because for them it wasn't a good enough school. So they weren't seeing their daughter just serving at tables. While for me it was being part of a special magic world where people like me make other people happy.
Where did you even think about this when you were growing up? Why were you drawn to it?
I'm not sure about how or why, but I think when we were going in summer to the seaside, and it was the gelato time, the snack timing, at 4 o'clock, I was going and buy this ice cream for me and my sister, and I was going alone, so I was feeling important, and I was having this bartender, which they were looking at me and smiling me, asking me, which kind of gelato would you like, little sweet baby? And I was feeling so, wow, this person is so beautiful, I want to be like that. So basically from an humble gelato salesperson, so I grew up my passion about hospitality.
So your parents really just saw you as being a server. They didn't see kind of the big picture of it.
No, not really, because also we are from humble regions. So, and also we grow up in Tuscany, which is a very countryside region. So you grow up your vegetables, and the vegetables from the garden are coming from the table. So it's pretty easy and a pretty simple life. So they weren't seeing this. First of all, the thing that they weren't approving, it was my little bird will fly away miles and miles from me to do this job, and they weren't happy about it. So they were much preferring to me to be an accountant or something.
In your hometown.
In my hometown, nearby my mother.
So your rebellion was to go to
school.
The hospital. And how old were you then?
I was 12 years old.
Oh my goodness, you were super young.
Yeah, I was really, really super young. But at the timing, my dream was to become a chef. I wanted to, at 12 years old, I wanted to become the best Italian chef ever.
Now, did you cook with your mother?
I did, yes. Mm-hmm. I was Sunday time is still a tradition that we got. We wake up around 5 or 6 o'clock and we start to cook for our family.
Oh, so, I so want to be there on a Sunday.
It's a tradition.
Would they make Calabrian food, or would you make Tuscan food?
It's while I was a kid, it was more Calabrian food, and then my mother slowly pick up the Tuscany preparations. So now it's a fusion of Calabrian and Tuscany food, and she cooks so well. She's just amazing.
So you were going to continue that tradition and become the best ever Massimo Bottura. Watch out, right?
Basically, yes.
So what led you to cocktails?
Then, when I started to do hospitality school, in Italy are 5 years of school, so you got to do like math, history, and everything, plus practical lesson of kitchen, of restaurant, and cocktail too, and cafeteria too. So plus the reception side of the hotel. So they are building you up to overlook the whole hotel's operation. So I started to look after what it was like to work in a kitchen, and physically, as I am a tiny person, I really realized that it was maybe too much of a physical job, and maybe it wasn't that much for me, because you need a lot of physical energy. So I thought, like, okay, let me move and choose the restaurant side of it. Then, while I was at school and in summer holidays I was going to work, I experienced the restaurant part of the job. And I was liking it because there was a contact with the people. But I was missing to prepare things. And then I said, okay, I need to find a solution between the two, because I like to stay with the public, to stay with the people, but I really miss the preparation side. So the next summer, it was my 3rd year of school, I spent 3 months working in a cocktail bar nearby where I was living. And then I found it.
So how old were you?
I was like 16 years old.
Now, I should have asked this way before. Where did you find this school at 12 years old to go to? Because I doubt in your little town. So was it in Florence? Where was the closest one?
The closest one was in Pisa, but at the time it was a newly opened school, so my parents didn't have any reference about it. So they decided that if I was going to go to hospitality school, I would have gone to a good one, let's say, if not the best. So they sent me to a boarding school, which in Italy is not common at all.
No, I think you're the only Italian I've ever known to go to boarding school.
Basically, yes. So 5 years of boarding school, it was more of a punishment than...
Oh, you probably missed all those Sundays.
Yes. So,
and your parents must have missed you.
Oh my God, if they missed me. Yeah. My mother was calling me like every evening, and my father too, and and I was really super rebellious at the time. I was loving the school a lot, but it was like they sent me away. They cast me away from the family. How are you there?
But so now fast forward to you're 16 and you can work in a bar. You can work with cocktails in Italy at that age.
Yeah, at that age you can. There is not very much of a really restriction for working with alcohol or things like that. So this Silvia, which was my first mentor, and it was a girl. She was 27 at the time, and she was the one who was introducing me on the bartending side of it. And it was a timing where the American bartending was coming in Italy, like all of these bottle jumping.
Oh, you mean flair?
Flair, right. Yes.
I love that that's the American style.
Yes, we call it American style in Italy. Well, we used to at the time. So, and she was like a little bit exercising in all of this bottle flair and to cocktails too. So I was looking at her and I was like, wow, she looks really cool. I want to be like that. And she introduced me a little bit on basic cocktails. And while I was going to school, I was following other bartending courses. Aside from school, they were private, that she was following too. And then I became like a member of the Italian Bartender Association, the IBES. And yes, and then all of that came along, years of like having a little bit of mentors here and mentors there. And
so what was your first job after school?
Well, my first job after school has been that one has been to please my parents. So I chose this because oh gosh, how many information. Well, the small town where I live is a thermal spa town, village, and it was like a moment of a little bit of a renaissance. So the Grand Café delle Terme, the grand name.
Which town is it?
Which
what is the town called?
Casciana Terme.
Okay, Casciana Terme.
Yes, and 3,000 people living there.
But how many hotels?
There are like 4 or 5 hotels.
So everyone's coming to do a thermal bath, right?
Definitely. And this place, it was like a cocktail bar it was like a cafe, cocktail bar, cafe, tea time as well. Not afternoon tea like England, but tea time too. So it was a little bit of a. There is a lot of things to experiments, let's say. So, and I stayed there for 1 year and a half. And in that year and a half was this bartender called Vasco Salvadori, which he was as well coming back from Australia. He was a gentleman around 45 years old at the time. And he was like, whoa, he's coming back from Australia to open this bar in this in his hometown, which is from Casciana Terme too. And he was like, wow, he brought, the milk cart for the cafeteria and all of these cocktails like the Manhattan and the Martini and the Negroni was already known, but with all of this garnish and decoration and the cocktail that is still working. But the cocktail that he was doing at the time, they were like, wow, super perfect. And no one in Tuscany, there was no one like him, and I was so lucky to be like work side by side with him for 1 year and a half while I was so young. At that time I was like 20 years old.
And so you were making your parents happy as well because you were home after all those years. Your mother could feed you.
Exactly. See how I was fed as well. Yes.
And also see what you're doing. Actually see it physically, with their own eyes, what you've been able to achieve in those years.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So after a while, I was like very happy, but I was like ready to leave the nest. And my mother actually helped me in that. So we were having some relative living in the mountainside in Italy, in Valle d'Aosta, and I moved there for a winter season job. And it's been a really cool experience while in the meantime learning to ski as well. So, and then in the summertime, I find from there a job on the Elba Island, which is still in Tuscany. So where Napoleon has got his first exile. And in there I found, lucky again, another very amazing bartender, which is called Bernardo Ferro, still an exponent of now another bartending association in Italy, the AB Professional. And I've been with him for 2 summer seasons. And he was like a very classic style of cocktail, so like similar to Alessandro upstairs, and it really gave me the backbones and a structure of the classic side of cocktails, plus a little bit of management side, because we did the opening of the pool bar, which was on the newly refurbished swimming pool of that hotel, which was a 4-star hotel at the time. And yes, between the 2 summer seasons, I went for a winter time in Berlin to learn a little bit of German. And that has been another funny experience. And
so were you always drawn to the hotel side of it as opposed to just a bar in a town,
I've been always like more fascinated by the hotel style, because there is not that I don't like the cocktail bars, the single ones, but the hotel has got such a charm, and the style and the kind of formal service, but still is not like a formal service that is like a distant service, but it's I don't know, it's like having an orchestra which plays music, with a lot of people which playing the same music, and the music that we play is making guests happy. So this is what a hotel for me looks like. And people the thing is that it's really like, I like hotel life, and I really, when I walk in an hotel, I feel like this is one of the most special places on earth, and I want to feel special, and I'm there to make you feel so special that wow. I got only positivity coming back. So Oh, well, that's what I hope I achieve at the end of the day.
I don't think you would be working at Duke's if you did not achieve that. So tell me about how you moved from Italy to London and why.
Why? Well, basically from this seasonal job, from after the last summer season in the Elba Island, I got a job from in Florence, in Villa La Massa. So it's a 5-star hotel and is a leading hotel of the world as a category. And Duke's was part of the leading hotel of the world at the time. So I was looking at the guide of the leading hotel of the world, and I saw Duke's. And then I realized that Alessandro Palazzi, which I knew by name, by fame within the bar industry, he was working at Duke's. Then I was going to be promoted the next year in Villa La Massa only if I knew if I was going to improve my English, which it was 0 at the time, 0. So I said, okay, what should I do? Where shall I go? So let's move to London. Okay, if I move to London, where I want to go? Well, he is there. I want to go there. So
I love it, without speaking any English whatsoever.
Without, it's been so crazy. And so I started to apply for jobs. I applied at Duke's and in 2 others. Duke's answered me straight away, and the answer was like, it was September at the time. They told me, okay, when you will be in London, come and see us for an interview. And I was still working at Villa La Massa. So when I replied back, and I was having help from my colleagues, of course, because I couldn't write English. And you didn't forget about understanding it. So I asked them to write for me, like, I'm going to be in London in November and I know it, so let's book an interview now. I'm coming into London, so we do an interview and then we see. So, and they said, okay, right. It was my 3rd time taking the plane alone in London, a town that I didn't know. The 2 words that I knew, it was yes and potatoes. That's it. And coming for an interview. So I came, I booked an hotel and everything. So when I came for an interview, it was like the DHR was like asking me questions, and I don't know how I answered. Trust me, I have no recollection of what did I say in that moment. The only thing that I remember, it was this word that I couldn't understand at the time. It was apron and white apron. Okay. And I was like, I understand white, but apron I don't know, but I'm going to say yes. However it is. Right. This is the only thing that I remember. So at the end of it, they told me, okay, go. No, I came back for the trial shift the next day. So I did a trial shift for a half an hour, but they told me in the bar there is no space. So there are no position open. So you can try in the restaurant if you like. And I said, well, if I had to start from somewhere, I will start from the inside. Okay. So I did a trial shift in the restaurant. And that was it. So off you go in Italy, back, and in 10 days they call me back and tell me, okay, if you want to, you got the job. So the 26th of November 2012, I was a waiter at the Duke's, at the 36 restaurant at the time. So now we are a GBR. And for the first 3 months, I was like going to school every day, working hard in the restaurant and polishing a lot of cutleries because, of course, I wasn't speaking very well, so I couldn't stay on the floor. And in the meantime, I was starting to get to know the guys in the Duke's bar. And every time that I was meeting them, and especially Alessandro, hey, hello, my name is Mary. In Italian, of course. Ciao. And do you need someone to help you in the bar? Because I can help you with that. I can do any job you like. And they were like, no, really. And especially was these things that there's never been a woman working at the Duke's bar before. And for the area, it's like we are full of private gentlemen's members club. So the area is very
masculine.
Very masculine,
yes,
very masculine area. So it was a little bit of a I don't think it would happen. In 3 months' time, anyway, one of the guys left from there, and I was super shocked when Alessandro came to me, like in a corridor, like saying, Mary, you know that you told me sometimes that you want to come and try to work at the bar. And I was like, are you kidding me? And he was like, no. Do you want to come for a trial and see how it goes? It's like, let's see. And I was like, oh my God, yes, of course, when? You tell me when. So I did that 1 or 2 days of trial shift. And I was shaking behind the bar. I was like touching the bottles finally again after, I don't know, 4 months of not being in a bar and working in a bar and looking at the shaker like it was like the Holy Spirits, I don't know.
Finally, I'm home.
Yes.
Right? And everyone's speaking Italian because everyone speaks Italian up there.
Yes. Exactly, especially that. And then, so at the end of these 2 days of trial shift, surprisingly, Alessandro came to me and he told me these exact words. I spoke with the guys, with the rest of the team, and we are really happy with you. For us, it's fine. The only thing that you need to face now are the guests. Really. So if you are accepted by the guest and our clients and our guests responds positively to you, I'm more than happy to confirm your job. So this is the only thing. So work-wise, you are fine, but you need to kind of fit.
And we're
with
not
the
talking
ambience.
that long ago.
Yeah,
2012.
2012. For me, it was shocking a little bit because I was coming from a country where it's very masculine country, and I was coming to London that for me was very much forward. But I didn't understand at the time this kind of formality, the royal family, the nobility that is in London, which is beautiful and fantastic, and I really like this side of London. For me, at the time, having this opportunity was like I won the lottery. I don't know, I got a miracle. And honestly, I never really had a problem with people. So I'm like teeny tiny, smiley. So it's easy like to get a smile back from guests.
Did you ever have any problems with anyone?
Just with few of them, yes. Major one. So one guest, I remember, it was a long table. And it was right at the end of the second room, the Montrose suite. So I was walking in the room and there were only this long table there. And I was having the writing pad with me. So I just see this man stood up, walking past by me and going to the bar asking, is anybody coming and taking the order for us? And my colleagues were like looking shocked. Looking at me that I was walking towards the table and say, sir, you got my colleague, which is there, and to take the order for you. I want a bartender to take the order for me. And my colleague was like, well, yes, she is a bartender. So, and I see him like a little bit, like getting a little bit nervous. And while his guests were kind of understanding the situation and getting... not upset, but getting not really happy about his reaction. And I got the sympathy of his guest towards me. So he had just to come back to the table, head down, and tell me his order. So, but after this, let's say, minute of tension, everything was fine again.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I think only another one. Another one was, yes, this one was the only one that it really hurt me a little bit because he was like with a regular guest, which we love a lot, and he was approached one of my colleagues and tried to say halfway you shouldn't have a woman behind the bar making drinks. And I was there. I was literally in front of him. And he was saying in a half voice, but making in the way that I was making sure that I was hearing him. My colleague was like, he was speechless, like how I cannot tell nothing towards this comment because I cannot being towards my colleague or towards like him. But I really remember that Alessandro heard that, and he asked this regular guest who has this guest making this comment to never have him back at the bar again. And
so you always had support from everyone.
Always, and they always been very, very protective towards me, and it has been just amazing to be with them upstairs. Alessandro's been like I would say my like a father, let's say, like a father in this job, because he really like the things that I learned from him are. So the basic, the cocktails, those things, I was having it already since from 10 years of working in Italy, and I've been with him for 6 years, 5 years and a half, let's say, if you want to be precise. But the things that I learned from him are like how to be in a place where really people are coming for you. So how to find your way to accomplish any unrequested request from the guests, how to read people, how to understand the different kind of cultures, how a Japanese is drinking is different from how an American is drinking. And to give an example, just to be on the opposite side of the world, or like the manners that different cultures are having. So sometimes of culture the manners can look like kind of rude on our eyes, but it's just maybe the most like fine
where they're from, right?
Yes. So it's mostly is the finesse, and I would say I hope that I've learned that. But what I've seen from him and what I really helped me improve me is the class that he's having and his personal style. So this is what Alessandro gave me. Most than anything. So, yeah.
So you took all that with you, right? Even though you're in the same building.
Yeah.
You're doing your own thing, really, right? With GBR Restaurant.
At the
Great
moment,
British Restaurant.
Great British Restaurant, yes. It's
So when they came to you and said, we want you to run the bar there,
yeah.
Were you ready to leave the nest?
I was ready to leave the nest, yes, because I was like, I thought that at the time I was like, okay, I reached what I wanted to achieve after 3 years, to be honest. And then the next 3 years, I stayed where I was like feeling extremely good and comfortable and happy about it. And then after, like, you know, this. All of this time I was like, okay, now maybe I need to find something else, otherwise, so you need always to improve yourself. And then it was like a changing pattern for GBR, because they really wanted to improve the bar side of it, together with also the other side of the F&B department, like the courtyard that we got at the front of the hotel, and the bar side of the room service as well. So they came to me and asked me, like, Mary, rather than leave Dukes, would you think about staying with us and help us improving this big project? And I was like, well, let me think about it. And then it was like, well, it is a new project. I'm still in the area that I like. I know the kind of guests, I know the people that are coming around, and I know them expectations. So I think this is the right place to like do the next step of my life. So, and here I am. Do you
miss? Well, I don't even know. Do you still make cocktails during service, or are you doing less of that?
I'm doing less of that because I got a fantastic bartender as well, which is his name is Francesco, and he's amazing. He's totally the opposite of me in a good way. He's very much more on the newly style, like experimenting and new infusions and a lot of garnish. Let's say that GBR restaurant in terms of bartending style is a little bit more modern. It's a classic modern style, so there is a little bit of more vibe in the drinks, and I'm behind the bar, let's say 2 times a week, let's say fully, and now it's more management, because anyway it's like looking after I don't know, like 15 people of staff. So it's like, wow, it's really like going back to the book of hospitality school books and like read through it, and okay, so what I learn now we apply. So, and it's just wow, amazing. And also it's like seeing the difference. I'm not very old, I'm like almost 33 years old, but I started when I was 15 years old, so it's quite a while now. And you see very much the difference between when I was like on my 20s and these new guys that they are on their 20s now, and you see the difference of generation and the value and the way that they are working, and to teach them a little bit of like classic style. For them it's like, wow, they maybe know nothing about hotels, but they're like mesmerized about the area or the guests that we got, which are kind of high profile, but it's just amazing the passion that you can like cultivate from other people. So there's the beauty of it.
It sounds so exciting. So should we go to the bar and try one of these new modern cocktails?
Why not? I think it's a good idea.
All right. Thanks so much to Mariantonietta for sharing her story. Don't forget to head to GBR as well as Duke's Bar at Duke's Hotel to sample both classic and modern cocktails. And one of those is our cocktail of the week. Our cocktail of the week is the Misty Negroni, Mariantonietta's take on the classic. It's equal parts of Dom Benedictine infused with coffee beans, Martini Bianco vermouth, and Ardbeg 10 whiskey, plus 3 drops of sweet orange bitters. All you do is add all the ingredients to an ice-filled old-fashioned glass and then stir well. Then serve with a slice of orange. Salute! You'll find this recipe and all the cocktails of the week at alushlifemanual.com, where you'll also find all the ingredients in our shop. Next week, we'll meet someone who only discovered he was heir apparent to Nicholson Gin, the oldest gin brand in London, in 2010. Don't forget to check out my martini collection at alushlifemanual.com/merch. Until next time, bottoms up. Thanks for listening to the Lush Life Podcast. For more information and links to everything you've heard, plus a whole lot more, please visit alushlifemanual.com. Always remember the wise words of Oscar Wilde. All things in moderation, including moderation. And always drink responsibly. Okay, I said that last part. Theme music is by Steven Shapiro and used with permission. Lush Life is produced by Evo Terra. And I'm your drinking partner, Susan Schwartz. I'll see you at the bar.